There we go.
All right.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, yeah, for sure.
Right here. This is I told you, the first one that we're having whiskey on.
This is it. This is a good one.
It might get loose.
Yeah, it might. I might have a no filter. I mean,
no filter.
Apologize ahead of time.
Yeah. No apologies necessary. I'm gonna get right into it with the banger, dude.
Yeah.
Like we were talking beforehand. I want to hear the GQ story.
Okay.
I don't know if we should talk about the other stuff beforehand, but I think the GQ story, that was so interesting.
Yeah.
My mind automatically went, what?
Yeah. So like, yeah, I guess like I wasn't expecting it at all, and there was like 2 or 3 of us, and what's funny is this same GQ. Well, maybe it was a photographer, but the photographer ended up doing a story on that Navy SEAL that changed sex not so long ago, like a year or 2 ago.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, and like,
really?
I don't know much of the details about it, but I try to avoid it just because,
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I try to just avoid that.
That's
probably a smart move nowadays.
Yeah. But like, we get like, it was a bad day. Like, in our unit, it was not only my vehicle that got hit, but then another company got hit at the same time.
So it's like, let's rewind. It's like your Army, correct?
Yeah.
So, and where are you at the time?
Afghanistan.
Yeah,
we're in Afghanistan. We're near this forward operating base called Burmel. And I don't remember where the other guys were at, the other company was at, but we got hit. They got hit like 30 minutes or an hour before us or something like that. We kind of heard about it a little bit. And then next thing I know, I get hit. And then, so long story short, you know, I wake up from surgery and I see all of us from the same unit in the same room. And I'm like the only one awake. And I'm just in shock. I'm just like...
So how many people is that?
There was me, the guy next to me, Travis, Matt Miles, at least 1 or 2 other people.
So you got like 6 people.
6 people.
And you're the only one awake.
I'm the only one awake. And
they're all your buddies, like you all know them.
I know every single one of them.
Yeah,
we're all like lying next to each other, you know, and everyone else is like passed out, and I'm just like, and you know, it hit me hard. Like as soon as I woke up, I was just in immediate pain. I was just like,
really,
this morphine is not strong enough. This morphine was definitely not strong enough.
That's crazy because, you know, like being knocked out and having injuries before, you know, and stuff I do, like I don't feel anything for a little bit after. Like there's a little shock after you come to. You know?
Yeah.
First of all, it feels like it's a blink of an eye, whether it is or isn't.
So
you know,
that happened at the first injury. When it initially happened, there was that shock. It didn't last very long for me. It lasted long enough for me to make a couple judgmental decisions before I was like, "Oh, I'm in a lot of pain."
That's intense, though. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is like that's an.
And you don't realize like how bad the injury is, like, you know, and like what one person's level 10 pain can be completely different from another person.
Everybody else's.
And now, like, I know, experiencing that kind of pain, like, I know where my level 10 is at. Like, I'm like, I can suck up like a broken bone like it's no big deal now. And so, like, you know, so anyways, I'm in like this enormous amount of pain waking up. And I was in an enormous amount of pain going in the operating room too. They were like cutting off my boot, and they couldn't pull it off. They had to actually cut my boot off. And as soon as they cut it off, my foot turned into a football.
So are you conscious when they took you into surgery?
Yeah, I was yelling. I was
okay.
Screaming. I was screaming in pain.
Gotcha.
Like I wanted to, like, I was asking for someone just to grab something heavy and like hit me over the head and knock me out, because I will not hold any grudges if you just knock me out right now. Like,
man,
I just won't hold it. Let's do it. I don't want to feel it anymore. Like I did not. I was begging people to do it. It was that bad. I've never been begged to be knocked out before. and like the pain was pretty bad. Like I understand that they like they can only put you in medically induced comas for certain reasons, because sometimes it's hard to get you back out of them.
Yeah.
But the pain was that bad where I wanted to be in one. I did not want to feel it anymore.
Man.
And like it was the worst pain. And it kept me up for like 3 days at a time. That's how bad it was. I just could not sleep with that pain. And
that's almost sometimes like that's part of the torture, like not being able to just rest.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, it was torture. It was absolute torture. And then to top it off, I'm getting transported with all of my buddies, and I'm the only one awake this entire time. The next day, we get flown out to, what's it called? Oh, man. There's that big Air Force base in Afghanistan, but we got flown out to there, and we thought that we were going to stay there I thought we were all going to stay there for a night, and I thought they were going to take me into surgery again. But what ended up happening is like a couple hours later, we got loaded up onto a plane and flown into Germany, and my IV, like we're taking off, and my IV falls out, comes out of it gets like caught on the stretcher or something like that, and it comes out of my arm. And so like we're taking off, and this, I don't remember if it was Navy or Air Force. I think it was Air Force, but this Air Force medic, while the plane's taking off, is putting an IV in me. And he actually successfully does it.
Man, what a baller.
Yeah, I was like, I wish I knew his name to this day, because I'd totally be friends with him. Like this. I'm like, totally that guy was like, that's impressive. You can put an IV in.
It is impressive.
I was like, that's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And so he gets an IV reestablished in me, and then and like sometimes while you're taking off from foreign, especially in war zones, it's like they do like this combat takeoff where they just like freaking skyrocket up into the sky.
Straight up in the air.
Straight up in the air, and they do that when they land too. They'll come down like super hard.
Oh, that would be the worst.
Sometimes it's bad. I've got
not going. I don't think going up would be bad in my mind.
Going down's hard.
Going down would be.
I've gotten headaches from it.
Holy smokes!
I've gotten massive headaches from it. And so like we get to Germany, and like it was like, I don't remember how long I was there. Maybe like 5 days, 6 days. I don't remember. I had like 2 or 3 surgeries there, but like while I'm in there, it's like I don't even remember what time it was. I had no recollection of time. But they put me on Toradol, an IV formula, or maybe it was Tramadol. I don't remember. It kind of worked a little bit for my pain, but I couldn't be on it for a very long time. Because apparently it like altered like the way your bones heal, and I still had
some pain medications actually do that. That's why when people that get addicted to pain, like pain pills, their bones become fragile and they break super easy.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so like I still at this point in time, I'm like a week and a half or a week or so in my injury. I had no idea what happened to my leg. All I saw was I had this huge soft cast on me with these giant rods sticking out of my leg holding it together, and like a wound vacuum on there collecting the blood that was coming out of it. And so like I knew at the time that I was like I had open wounds on my leg. I just didn't know. I hadn't seen them. And so like GQ comes in and some guy comes in and was like, "Hey, would you like to be in a GQ article in the GQ magazine?"
While you've got this stuff coming out of your leg?
Oh yeah. This is the greatest part too. I still had a catheter in, and I'm not the kind of guy. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, this is totally going on here.
No, this is perfect.
I'm not gonna be shy about it at all. This is the greatest. This is the greatest.
Awesome. Okay.
And so I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Like, I don't mind, you shooting some shots of us and, taking our stories and whatnot and doing a story on us. And so, they're in there taking photos of us while we're in the operating room. I don't know. I just remember seeing the pictures in the GQ magazine. They did a few photos of me. They did a really good photo shoot of me the first time I used crutches. And I almost passed. Like I get outside of my room, and the stupid physical therapist. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just because I hadn't moved in like a week. I got to the door and I was about to pass out, and I did not want to fall. Like, I felt it. I was just like, I can't go any further. And this PT is like, no, you're good. And I'm like, dude, I'm blacking out, man. I'm going. And like the nurse barely gets a chair underneath me, and like they get this shot of me sitting there like this. Like, I got both my crutches out to my sides, and I'm like staring off into space, and like the photojournalist takes a shot, and like I look at it now because it's one of the ones of me in the magazine, and it looks like he was trying to look up my hospital gown.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I please use that as a promo for the
absolutely
podcast?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm like, when I saw this like 7 or 8 months later in the magazine, I was thinking to myself, thank God that my freaking catheter was not in that photo. Because that would have been the worst photo ever.
Or the best.
Yeah, or the best. Like this tube coming out from between my legs. Yeah. But there's a great story behind that catheter. And they were like,
I don't know that everybody's ever said that before, ever in the history of mankind. There's a great story behind that catheter.
I think it's hilarious to this day. I think it's absolutely one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me. And I'm not ashamed to talk. It happens, stuff like this happens. And I was a young 24-year-old, and I'm stubborn. And I think they knew it, but I knew. I asked them to take it out of me because I didn't like it. I don't like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
I don't think anybody would.
I feel like it took away my independence, And so they were like, yeah, we'll take it out. Just give us an hour. I'm like, no, you're not taking that thing out while I'm awake. I didn't know what it was going to feel like. I didn't know how. I don't remember them putting it in. And so the doctor comes in and he's like, so you don't want us to take it out while you're awake? I was like, no. I know I'm going into surgery in the morning. Let's take it out while I'm under. He's like, that's fine. We can take it out while you're under. But they give you a time span. You have to go to the bathroom within a certain time span after having this thing removed. And I was drinking water. I was trying to fill up my bladder so I would go in the time frame. But I was down to the last 15 minutes. And my poor nurse. She felt so bad for me, but I felt even worse for her. She was such a sweetheart too. She she was working with me really hard, and for some odd reason, she just really they're not assigned individual patients. They can work through the rooms that they're assigned to, but she was always in my room, and it was just she was fun to talk to and all, but I just felt really bad for her because at the last 15 minutes, I pulled, what people regret doing. I was like, bring a toilet to me. I was like, I'm gonna freaking squeeze out a turd. I'm gonna get myself peeing one way or another. And I still had the effects of this nerve block in my leg from the surgery that same day. Yeah. I think it was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember. It was the wee hours of the night, and they bring it in there. They're doing stuff in there too, and I'm sitting on this thing. So
are they trying to save your leg at this point?
They're trying to save my leg.
Is this the surgery that's trying to save your leg?
They did. So I went through about a month and a half of surgeries, and then
so your legs there
attached
for
the long. It was attached for 10 months.
And they're trying, man, they really did try a lot.
They did
Holy
save
smokes,
it. In the end, they did save it. But it was to me, it was having a 90-year-old leg on a 25-year-old male body. It just didn't function.
I was about to ask you what, dealing with that as a 24-year-old.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective for a second.
It was
not just a 24-year-old. So let's go ahead and say you're obviously active military.
When you're like a young active person,
yeah,
and you have this leg that is just bum and doesn't do anything, like
when you say it doesn't do anything, what like
it? After I probably had like 30-something surgeries on it before I had them cut it off. Like it was like almost every other day for that month and a half. I was having a surgery.
A month and a half, you had 30 surgeries?
Yeah. I was in the operating table like every couple days. It was bad.
You don't even get to come down from the from the anesthesia.
I was so used to having surgeries.
It probably doesn't even affect you anymore.
I'm not even scared of them. They do not faze me anymore. Like, I'm just like, let's go. Drug me up.
Like, well, okay. I have to say, like, I've only had surgery once in my life. I've been put under once, ever. Yeah. And when I came to, I was like, I told the nurse, I said, I'm really glad that I've never done drugs before because I really like the feeling that I have right now.
Really,
like,
really
when
addicting.
I came out, I was like super happy, and I was like, dude, this is the most. And I wasn't in pain beforehand. Let's go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
But I came out and I went, oh, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to bring during a recent surgery. I tried to get. She must have been like 60 years old. I tried to get her phone number after one of my surgeries.
That's funny.
I later heard from one of my friends that because I had flirted with her while I was high off these drugs, she sent me up to one of the best wards for that, and I was just like, well, at least I got something out of it.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, you're like this man, 30 surgeries.
Yeah. So like, anyways, this I'll get to that in a minute. This catheter situation. So like, I'm sitting on this like, I don't even know what they're called. I'm total brain fart right now. But they like bring in a toilet. It's like a bedside toilet.
Yeah. No, my mom's a nurse, and then my grandma had. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a little chair.
Yeah.
Just so everybody listening knows, and they may not, and some of them may do, but like it's like a bucket with a toilet seat around it. With a back. It has. It's like almost like a walker toilet.
It's like a walker with a toilet on it.
Yeah. It's like a walker with a toilet. It's got foam handle, like foam little grips for your hands.
Yeah.
You could actually use it as a walker and then sit down.
And
go to the bathroom.
In it.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, man.
And like, so they brought it to me because it was just too much energy for me to walk to get on crutches and walk to the bathroom. I probably would have passed out. Let's be real. And so like the nurses, there's like two of them in there, and the one that like has been spending a lot of time with me, she seemed like she cared a lot about me. I wish I knew who she was.
You know what, man? I mean, and I say this a lot because my mom is the exact person when it comes to nurses like that, that care about people. And there's a lot of them that do it just for the money, and then
they stand out.
Yeah, but the ones that do it that really care, man, it's like it's built in them like that.
Yeah.
So she probably really cared about you.
She did. She really
100%.
So like this catheter thing, I'm like, I obviously get it turned out, and like, my leg is like numb from this nerve block still, and it like partially numbs your groin up, and so I had no idea that my bladder was pushing piss out too. And I'm like sitting there, I was like supposed to be holding the cup, like the little bedside piss cup. And like it just came flying out all over the floor, and I was like, "Oh God!"
Oh no!
I felt so bad for this nurse that like really cared about me because it was really obvious because she had to clean it up. Yeah. And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing." I was just like, I felt horrible.
So you can watch it, but you can't feel it. You're like, "Oh, that's coming from me."
Yeah. Well, I saw it.
Oh my gosh, that's me doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm doing it, but
it was definitely me. I was just so happy And then I did it, but I felt so bad at the same time because I knew if I didn't do it, that they were going to put another catheter in me. And like, there's just, I had to go one way, and I just felt so bad.
This is your pure will to not have another catheter.
This is my pure will to not have another catheter in me. I was dead set on not getting something else shoved up there.
That's awesome.
And so, like, I they gave me, this was the funny part. She was like hilarious too, because they gave me this like thing to exercise my lungs with, or she did, along with, there was this goober dude that was with her, but I didn't know how to use it. Like apparently you like blow into it and like exercises your lungs when you're like bedridden like that. And when I saw this, try to keep this PG.
You can say whatever you want on this podcast. I tell people to talk the way they normally talk.
So like when I saw this, I immediately asked her, I was like, am I supposed to give this a BJ? Like, I didn't know how to use it. I honestly had no idea like how to use this thing. And like her face turned beet red. It was like I started laughing so hard. And I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, show me how to use this. And she shows me, but like she stuck it out. She like cared so much. I wish I would have remembered her name or like had her email address or something like that. Yeah, I don't know if, you know, and like, but she like cared about me so much. She actually came in on her day off when I was flying out of there to transport me out.
Dude, that's amazing.
And I just, yeah, like I think there's a picture of us in GQ. Like she's like transporting me out in the magazine. And like, because she's there, I got like this huge, like she just made me like really happy. I had this huge smile on my face because she like cared so much. It was really cool. Like, and nurses like that are really hard to come by. There's a few of them that are in the Army hospital, like in every hospital actually, but I've encountered a few of them.
Yeah.
That really that they just stand out. But anyway, so I get to like, I fly to Walter Reed and I stay there one night, and then the next morning I fly to Brooke Army Medical Center over in San Antonio, and like I don't know at this point, I have no idea because we all got separated from everyone else in the unit. And the way that like they coordinated us, they spread us out, is they put us at hospitals that were close to our home.
Yeah, I mean at that point, I'm assuming that they're just trying to take care of everybody and get them close to their family.
Yeah, that was their primary goal.
Yeah,
and so
just for in my mind, how did this all happen in the first place? Like, how do you get to this point? Like, what were you doing? How were you attacked? Like, how did this happen?
So, like, I was with an engineer unit, and, you know, our primary mission is to do route clearance. We're doing route clearance, and we're getting ambushed a lot. And in my unit, I accidentally stood out on purpose. Not on purpose. Like, I wasn't trying to stand out, but, like, as a E4, I ended up running our squads through squad lanes.
Yeah.
And I came in second place in our entire battalion as an E4. I wasn't even a non-commissioned officer. And so, like, I don't remember what happened between there. I got sent to the promotion board, got promoted anyways, and, like, I immediately, like, sort of became well-known and, like, crazy because I wasn't, you know, I had combat experience at that point, and you know, I didn't take it lightly. You know, I took, you know,
a little bit of pride in it.
I knew that it was survival. You know, it was like, you know, I wanted to survive, and so if that meant running drills with my soldiers after I got promoted, I would run drills with them. Mounting a 240 or a 50 cal machine gun up on top of the hill with all the ammo in the tripod, and I would make them run everything up there just because, you know, I wanted them to run drills. And
but you would do all the drills with them.
I did the drills with them. Yeah, I did the drills with them, and you know, they kind of hated me for it, but you know, it was kind of, there was another guy, Staff Sergeant Wolford, that I beat him, and he was like, I beat him in the squad lanes that we did. But there was some, like, I was with, so Aaron, you know, it was Bagram Airfield. That's where we flew out of, Bagram Airfield. So we were there for a little while doing some stuff. And Aaron got transferred out. I was under Aaron. And when Aaron left, like, the platoon morale just, like, dropped.
Really?
Yeah, like, you know, because there's, like, just certain people, you know, and, like,
man, no,
that kind of form like the backbone of each unit, and he was one of those people, and like,
well, some people are just so good at leading naturally.
Yeah.
And you become tied to that person. So when, like, if you're with somebody for a certain period of time and then that person leaves and that's your leader, you're like, oh no, man.
We I'm not going to say his name,
but that's a testament to him.
It is. Yeah, he's a great guy. And I'm not going to say this other guy's name, but we got a new, like, a replacement.
That's a tough spot to be in.
You got to replace someone like that, and he was a total douchebag. Like, this guy was the nerdiest.
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt before.
No, he was awful. Like, this guy was, like, the nerdiest. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, like, how he made it through OCS, like, Officer Candidate School. Because I'm like, dude, this guy's a goof. I'm like, like when he would talk to you, he would, like, shake his head up and down, like, and it was just like, I can't take you seriously, man. Like, like, you're such a nerd. Like, I don't know what you're trying to do. Like, and yeah, he was a goof. But, like, you know, we still had our platoon sergeant, you know, and he was great. But then, like, once the morale started dropping, I kind of requested to get out of there. I needed to get back in, you know, because they weren't doing combat missions out of there, and I needed to get back into combat missions. And so I got back.
So you just really wanted to be in combat missions.
I just really wanted to be in combat. I wanted to feel productive.
So is that what it is when it comes? Because I've had several friends that, I mean, they love it.
Yeah,
they love it, and I know it's not the violence, and it's not the, you know, getting shot at. There's something else to it, and so the way you said that right there made sense to me in my head. It's like, oh, you feel productive.
Yeah, because you're a part of a team, and, like, even though sometimes you do dumb tasks, you know, it's like, that's why I asked for the transfer, because I wanted to be a part of a team, not a team that was dysfunctional. And that's the way that team,
I got you,
kind of held together. And, like,
that makes perfect sense.
So I got transferred to Jalalabad, where I think they originally were looking for Osama bin Laden for a while. And it was like, it's like the hottest part of Afghanistan. Like, it feels like Iraq there. It's kind of nuts. And the unit was, like, micromanaging stuff. And that really, really annoyed me. That really, really annoyed me. I hate micromanagement of all things.
I don't think anybody really does.
Yeah,
you know?
Like, it ticked me off. And so I don't remember what it was. There was some type of evaluation, and I just was on there. I was just like, this is bullshit work. Like, and it made it to, like, the top of the chain of command, and, like, no one knew who it was because it was all anonymous, right? And so it sent the entire, like, everyone at Jalalabad in our unit. It sent everyone through training, retraining, leadership training. Well, at the same time, like, a week or so prior to this, Sergeant Wolford's team leader, they had been getting into some of the heaviest gunfights. So they were in an area of Afghanistan called Ambush Alley. And it's, like, really well known.
I've actually heard that name before.
It is a fun place. It's like a Wild West.
I don't know that most people would say fun, but you say fun.
It was like, I thought it was in the Wild West. Like, it was hands down, like...
Why is it when I say that I get the picture of, like, Tombstone the movie?
Because...
Is it like that?
Yeah. There's, like, it's like, imagine Washington State, but with the mountains have foxholes in them. So it's like evergreen trees, but there's fighting positions behind them that you can't see.
Holy smokes!
It is like the Wild West. It was something else. And so like, but anyway, so Sergeant Wolford's team leader, not gonna say his name, goes on leave, goes on his R&R leave, and he was a complete goober too. I don't know why Sergeant Wolford kept him. And while he's on leave, he checks himself into a mental hospital. And the platoon sergeant of that platoon that was in the heaviest gunfights over there, they were stationed at Organee. Is visiting Jalalabad like a week or so after he checks himself into a mental hospital, and we're also going through this training. And so I catch the platoon sergeant off to the side, and I'm like, "Hey, you need a team leader." And he's like, "Yes." He's like, "You want to come and get in our replacement?" And I'm like, if you can pull the strings, I'm coming. I'm packing my bags." And he's like, "Go pack your bags. I'll pull the strings." And so I flew out with him again. This was my second transfer in Afghanistan. I flew out with him, and we get stuck at Kandahar Air Base. And I'm so eager to get there with Sergeant. I was so excited to be with Sergeant Wolford, to be like a part of a cohesive unit. And we got stuck there because there was no flights leading to Organee. And so I was in the mess hall eating dinner one night, and I was talking to some Black Hawk pilots. Well, it's probably been long enough. I don't think I'll get in trouble for this. But I thought legitimately that I pulled like when you hear about those like stories in like Vietnam and World War II, like those soldiers going AWOL to get back to their units.
Yep.
I thought I had pulled one of these off in the mess hall. And so I'm talking to these pilots, and I had no idea until like after they agreed to it that they were medevac pilots. And so like medevac pilots, when they're flying to another base, they're not supposed to transport people. And, in case I think it's in case they called out. I'm not quite 100% sure or anything like that. But so I ended up asking, I don't remember. Maybe I gave them my dessert. I don't remember. I might have bribed them. I honestly don't remember. But I was like, "Hey, you guys are flying to Organee tomorrow? Dude, we're trying to fly to Organee too." And I was like, "What are the chances, y'all can, give us a ride, a hitchhike."
So you like hitchhiking.
We hitchhiked on a military aircraft. No one. I get back to Sergeant Vint. I don't even want to say his name. We get back, and I tell him, and I'm like, "Hey, we got a ride to Organee tomorrow morning. We got to pack our bags and be on the airfield at 6 a.m. over here at these pilots or at these helicopters." And he's like, "How'd you do it?" And I was like, "I ran into some medevac pilots, and they agreed to like take us on." And so like we're out there with all of our gear. You're not even supposed to have weapons on the Army's medevac. We got all of our weapons and our luggage. It's like a ton of luggage. And like, yeah, this is like there was no manifest of us being on this flight. So if we crashed or got shot out of the sky, no one would have known that we were on it. And we ended up, yeah. The pilot's like, "We're getting you there. Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Cool, man. I appreciate it." And then like while we're on the plane, the platoon sergeant, he's like, "This is the kind of NCOs we need." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I was like, I just want to get there, like, and do something. I'm tired of being bored and like not being a part of a cohesive unit. But we get there, and Sergeant Wolford's so freaking happy that I'm there. Like, the first night there, I stayed up all night with him and made ghillie suits. I had a friend.
Oh, that's funny.
A friend, some friend of ours somehow we ended up getting Jägermeister in the mail in Afghanistan. And so Wolford and I were sitting there.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't even know how it got through the mail.
Yeah.
But and I'm not going to say who mailed it. I think I know who mailed it.
Don't do that. But I mean, that's
pretty
cool that he did.
Yeah. And like, but so like, everyone was kind of like sipping on it, but we ended up like staying up all night making ghillie suits. And like I was like right across from him, and then we ended up going outside at like, what was it, 2:00 in the morning, and we're like chasing camel spiders around to try to catch the biggest one that we could catch. It was just like the two most adult children that the people that everyone feared in the entire battalion were like acting like the biggest adult children.
Running around trying to catch spiders.
Catch camel spiders, yeah, of all things. Yeah. But, oh man.
So is this is leading up to this thing?
This is leading up to where I got hit. So we get in there and like, we had some intense gunfights. Like, we had a marker list on our RG-31 of how many rocket propelled grenades hit the vehicle. And then we had on the other side, we had a little marker list of how many gunfights we've been in.
That actually hit the vehicle?
It actually hit the vehicle, yeah. Yeah. Like, and it was just like, yeah, like we got in some ambush alley was intense. Like we let one time the first sergeant rolled around with us and he got into one of the gunfights with us, and the gunner on the vehicle, an RPG hit the gunner's shield and knocked his weapon off, and the first sergeant jumped out of the vehicle. Like, I never expected this from the first sergeant, because bullets are flying all over the place from both directions from the hills. And the first sergeant just jumps out of the vehicle and grabs a weapon and gets back in. And I'm just like, all right, that's his first time getting shot at. I'm like, good for that guy. You know, you don't know how people are going to react. It doesn't matter what rank they are.
I imagine it's a totally different thing.
Yeah. And like, so, you know, your first time getting shot at, it's like, you know, it kind of, you have to like look back at it and be like, whoa. We're getting shot at. You know, you kind of have to like rethink, cool yourself down and kind of think about stuff. And there was a couple people that were like freaked out about it.
I imagine everybody just has a natural reaction to that stuff, though.
Everyone has their own.
It's like a natural thing that you do it, and it's hard for them to break through that barrier.
Yeah.
You know, you think you would, and you would. You know CT.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I was talking to him, he put it in perspective that was really cool. It's like, you do enough reps over and over and over again. But if somebody breaks in your house, and you're trying to put that code into your safe to get your gun out.
Oh, that's why I don't.
How are you going to perform under that sort of pressure? Yeah. Like, you do enough reps so that hopefully muscle memory takes over. But if you don't, you're going to be shaken. And how can you really rep being shot at?
Yeah. I think because I had been in combat prior, I knew that going to Afghanistan, because it was it was in 2007. It was like right when it was after Operation Red Wings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was like less than a year after Operation Red Wings. And I watched the news enough to know that it was the Wild West. Like, this was going to be a lot more combat than what we saw in Iraq. A lot more gunfights, a lot more explosions. And, I got a couple Purple Hearts, And so I knew, what combat was like, because I've had mortar rounds in Iraq land like 30 feet behind me. And I've been in situations, I've been shot at in Iraq. I've been blown up more times in Iraq than I have in Afghanistan. Witnessed more people getting blown up. I was part of a mass casualty situation where a suicide car bomber drove up behind us in Iraq and blew up. It was almost the entire platoon.
Hey man, you've seen lots of violence.
I've seen a lot of combat. And so like I kind of like mentally was already ready for Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And that's why like I worked my soldiers really hard beforehand. Like I wanted to make sure that they, I didn't take it lightly. And then, so I get to Sergeant Wolford's platoon, and like our immediate gunfight, the first gunfight we get into, I'm just like, these 50 cals aren't doing it. I'm like, this is not enough, Sergeant Wolford. Like, this is crazy. We're just shooting in the trees, and we're just shooting at muzzle flashes and smoke that we see. We don't even know if we're hitting anything. So we get back, and like a few days later, we ended up putting like 3 or 4 Mark 19s inside of our convoy, which Mark 19s are fully automatic grenade launchers. And like, it was, I threw out the idea to Sergeant Wolford. I was just like, I'm not here to screw around. If people are going to get in a gunfight with us, I want to jack them up. And so we rolled around and we started rolling around on purpose trying to get in gunfights after that. And we would get in gunfights. Like we knew that sometimes like we would drive slow on purpose into certain ambush alleys, into ambush sections, just to try to give them enough time to prep. And so like we got into one. Oh man, what was that? It was a Rook Cop. It was a combat outpost. And that base, after I left, they tried to overrun it. They drove a suicide jingle truck. It's like the size of a semi truck. Suicide car bomb into the front gate of it and tried to overrun the base.
Whoa!
It was like massive. Like that base got attacked. I want to say at least once or twice a week, and it was probably just a little south. Probably like 25 miles south of what was dubbed the deadliest place in Afghanistan. So it just kind of gives you perspective where I was at. It's like the little ways, 50 ways, 25 miles north of this, the deadliest place in Afghanistan. They had the most bombs dropped on it in this valley. And the Rook Cop was behind it, and then Organy. And we patrolled between Organy and Burmel. Burmel was kind of closer to the Pakistan border. But so we ambush alley was right there, and we could have driven. I don't even remember what that place is called. I always brain fart it, but we got into one. We drove to Zurich Cop one a lot. We drove there one night, and on the way back the next morning, we're driving back, and they ambushed us from a different section, from a different hilltop. This time, and they're really good. Sometimes if they disable one of our vehicles, they'll fight us for like a good 30 minutes, disappear, and show up on another hill. They'll try to flank us or whatever. But when that happens, you're like positioned on the ground, and like you get in gunfights and bullets are like landing next to your feet and stuff like that. And like first you're like, oh, that was close, but then you get used to it. And then like this one gunfight, though, I remember it specifically because they shot an RPG at us. And I think it might have been like a Chinese RPG because it wasn't going as fast as it normally does.
Maybe you just remember it in slow motion.
It was going so slow. I was TCing and Sergeant Wolford was driving. And I was going so I was like, slow down, Sergeant Wolford. He's like, why? I was like, I don't want to get hit by this RPG, and I can see its trajectory. That's how slow it was going. That's how slow. And so like that gunfight too, I'm pretty sure some of the people that we were fighting were Chechens, and Chechen fighters are really, really ballsy fighters. They actually aim. Bullet holes will hit next to your face in the window. Like, hands down, you'll look over and there'll be like 3 bullet holes or 3 bullet smacks right in the window next to your face. And in this gunfight, that happened. I had 1 bullet hole blow right in my neck area on the window. And we have, on the RG-31s, we have portholes on the windows so we can open up and stick our guns out and start shooting at them. And so I'm just like sitting there with my M4, I'm like crouched in there. One of my other guys has a saw back there. And we got all the Mark 19s just rocking on this hill. Like we were jacking them up big time. Like it was just, you could see the explosions all over the place. It looked like 4th of July in Afghanistan. It was amazing. And like they had these rifle fire grenades, much like ours, and one hit the window right in front of my face. It smacked the window and blew up on the outside of the window, right in front of my face, and knocked me out on the floor, in the front of the vehicle. And then like I woke up. I don't know if Sergeant Wolford was kicking me. I don't remember. or he was pushing me. I don't remember. It didn't last very long. But I got back up and like RPG was still flying through the freaking air. I was like, is that the same one? He's like, yeah, it's the same one. I'm like, dude, that thing's broken. We were going so slow, we totally avoided it. Like it was. I don't know what happened, but later on, some of the guys from Oregon E went up and patrolled behind us and cleared that hillside, and they were like, dude, there was blood everywhere. There was blood. They were like, you guys jacked. And we could hear them on the radios saying they had like a whole bunch of like KIA and a whole bunch of dudes that were wounded, and so we just kept the Mark 19s ever since then. And then so we'd roll around. One night we were rolling up to Zurich Cop. It was in the middle of the night, and Zurich Cop got ambushed. And so we kind of rolled around the perimeter of it. We were getting ready to jack them up. But as soon as they knew we were coming, they were gone. As soon as they saw us coming, they did not mess with us anymore. There was one morning where we left this little tiny combat outpost had one shitter on it. We leave one morning and we get word from them that a rocket hit the shitter. A rocket. They fired a rocket and it hit the shitter. And so like we heard it over the radio. They were like, no one was injured in it. We made an internal joke in our vehicle. We're like, that would have been a shitty day. You're on your way to the shitter and it blows up in front of you.
That would not have been a way to go, dude.
Dude, that would have been horrible. Yeah. It would have been awful. But so like we get to Bromell. I think we're like 7 months into the deployment. And we have a gyro cam up in the air. We're like watching the area, throughout the night. And we do that at some of the bases we go to just to look to see if we can see people planting, IEDs in the road or planting ambush.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's the same camera that you see on Apache helicopters.
Yeah.
We launch it up in the air and a boom. And we see a guy. I don't remember if we actually saw him, or I don't remember, but somehow we knew, or maybe they saw it on a blimp or a helicopter, a plane saw it in the middle of the night because it was kind of far. Someone planted an IED down the road. There was a Green Beret operating base that was closer to the Pakistan border. And so we went ahead and patrolled that route in the morning. We were going towards them. And we were looking for this IED on that road. Well, our mine detector, the vehicle, it didn't pick it up. And so we were the second vehicle in the convoy. And like, we're all passed out. Like, it's Afghanistan. It's literally like the Wild West. You're just not going to stay awake for these 4-hour trips. Out in the middle of these mountains. It's just not going to happen. And I like had my left leg like propped up on the seat across from me. Barry was right next to me. A few other soldiers. And Ashdown was on the gunner. But I was sitting there and I like dusted off my glasses because it was like super dusty. And I had just put them back on. I had just leaned my head back. And it was just like, wha-bam! And I was just like, ears are ringing. And I'm like, like I felt my head hit the top of the vehicle inside the ceiling. Like it just smashed in there.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure my helmet cracked. I don't remember very well. And then like my first initial thought was, we have like 3 cases of C4 inside this vehicle. We have like 2 or 3 rockets. We have a whole bunch of spools of deck cord. I have an assault bag with grenades in it. I had my weapon in between my legs that was loaded with a grenade in it. And I'm like, we just got nailed big time. If something goes off in here, none of us are going to make it. It's not going to be a breath in any of us. Like, it was an instinct reaction. I dove for the fire extinguisher. Like, I just dove for it. I was not going to sit in that vehicle while it was on fire with all that explosives. Even though the fire may not have set it off, you know, it was an instinct reaction. Like I just immediately snapped into it, and I grabbed the fire extinguisher. And when I kind of came to it, I thought we were like under ambush at the same time. I don't think we were, but I grabbed someone else's weapon. I think I grabbed Barry's weapon, and I thought it was mine. And I immediately opened up a porthole and I stuck it out the window, and I was like looking for something to shoot at. And meanwhile, like I'm starting to feel my pain in this leg. I'm like, holy shit, my leg is jacked up. Like, it is bad.
So you're starting to realize that right now.
I was starting to realize it at that moment. It took, you know, like almost an entire minute for me to realize like how bad it was. And like it was, I think it bent the frame of the vehicle because every single one of us climbed out the escape hatch, and like they get us all on a stretcher. You know, it's like a few minutes out, but you know, and then the rest is, you know, got taking the BAMC and all that catheter. Good story. So
yeah. So I mean, what did you get hit by? Like, do you even know?
Yeah.
And how did you get? Like, where was the rest of the people coming to attack you?
I don't know if there was anyone there that was actually attacking us. I think they planted it and just left.
Oh, gotcha.
And so the reason why our mine detector didn't pick it up was because it was like an improvised landmine without using metal. And somehow, I don't know if it was a shape charge that they made. The IED penetrated right between my legs in the vehicle.
Golly, man.
And my weapon was completely destroyed. I didn't know.
You didn't even know you grabbed somebody else's weapon and you're like,
my weapon was gone.
Yeah. Okay. So now, with this, and this is something that hit my brain because I act like I'm 12 anyway.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, so do I.
So you're sitting there like at 24, super young. You're 24 at this time?
Yeah.
So you're 24, and you make a conscious decision, like fast forwarding now, to take your leg off.
Yeah.
Not try anymore. Like, is there never any chance of this movement coming back in your leg? Are you just dragging around, or how's it working?
There was never a chance. So I when I got to Brooke Army Medical Center, they took off some of my soft casts to look at my foot in front of me because I wanted to see it. And while they were doing that, part of my foot came off. Part of my foot died and came off in front of me.
Wow.
And so, like, I immediately went into emergency surgery. They only had one anesthesiologist on call that night, and they needed 2 to give you a nerve block. And so, you know, they went in there. They were going to clean that whole flesh wound out where the foot kind of came off and cut dead pieces off. That way I didn't get any infections. And they ended up taking the rods out of my leg and shoving a rod from my knee all the way down to my ankle through the tibia to hold the bone together. Yeah. And so when I woke up, I went through the surgery without a nerve block. When I woke up, I was gasping for air. It hurt so bad. I just could not breathe from the amount of pain that I was in. I was trying to breathe. It felt like...
like I'm grabbing my chest right now. Like,
it was bad. It was so
intense.
bad.
That is very intense.
I didn't know that pain could exist like that. Yeah. I really, honestly had no idea. It felt like I had fallen out of... I've done this a couple times growing up where I've fallen out of trees, landed on my butt, and the air gets knocked out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like coming out of these surgeries.
But that's just because of pain. You're not getting your air knocked out of you.
Yeah. It's because of pain. It was so bad. It put my nervous system into shock.
Man.
And yeah. And so now I have this huge pain tolerance. Like I've broke my toes before, and I will still hike 10 miles on them.
Well, I mean, and this is what I say about pain tolerance. I'm like, pain tolerance is not being on a medication and being able to tolerate pain.
Yeah.
It is literally knowing that it hurts.
Yeah.
And then being able to okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel the pain. Like,
I know it's there.
You feel every moment of it.
Yeah.
And then being able to be like, well, that's normal.
Yeah.
it's different than when you taking an Advil is like taking an Advil for it. I go, okay, that's not a pain tolerance at that point. Like you're masking a little bit of it.
Yeah, like when I get pain medication now, like they most in the United States because they're trying to get everyone off opioids. Like, most of the time they'll give you they'll give me like Tylenol 3, and I'm like, this doesn't do anything for me. I'm like.
But you've had so much stuff running through your veins, you don't even know.
And like, well, so they ended up putting me on. This is how bad the pain was. They ended up putting me on Dilaudid.
I don't know what that is.
So Dilaudid is. So you know what methadone is?
Yeah.
I've been on methadone for pain. Basically, I've been on heroin for pain.
Yeah.
Pain control.
All right on. Full deal.
Yeah, I'm full throttle. Like they were like, yeah. It was an interesting experience.
So like
Dilaudid is like one step under methadone. I was on methadone for like a month, and then I was on.
Oh, they pared it back.
Yeah, and
that's good.
I took myself off. So
no, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So like, this is the crazy thing is that you decided to take your leg off.
Yeah.
What does that mentally do?
I was ready for it.
You were ready for it.
I wanted it. Yeah, at the time I wanted it.
So you were prepared. You just yeah. I mean, there's no remorse or anything like that with your. So
Dr. Fickey, he's Colonel Fickey at the time. He's now actually the chief of orthopedic surgery and the school over at Johns Hopkins University, foot and ankle specialist. I didn't know how bad it was until I saw him. I asked him. Like, I requested to see him, and I was like, how bad is this injury? Like, I know what's going on, but no one said anything to me. Like, obviously I got fractures. I just don't know what the heck's going on. And, like, he, like, had the remorseful face I've ever seen on anyone in my life. Like, he looked like he legitimately felt bad. He had to tell me the truth. 'Cause that's what I wanted. And he was just like... He looks at me and he looks down. He couldn't even look me in the eyes at first. He goes, Sergeant Ford, I just got to tell you, this is the most amount of fractures I've ever seen in someone's lower foot. And I was like, well, is there like an estimate? And he's like, yeah, you probably got around 200 fractures. And it's all from like ankle through the foot. It just completely shattered my foot. And my heel bone... I had like a type 5 community calcaneal fracture, which basically means it exploded. And the heel bone came up the back of my ankle where the Achilles tendon. And like it like shattered that much. It came up in the back of my calf muscle. It was like, and like he was trying to save it. Like
obviously, they did that many surgeries in that long a time, and you've got like basically like a dead leg, I guess, right?
It was, yeah. I mean, it was alive, but it didn't function.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're just dragging it with you.
I didn't have a heel underneath or a cushion underneath the heel. So if I walked barefoot, it was bone skin floor, and that wasn't fun. That was not fun at all.
Man, none of this sounds fun.
And like what they did to close that wound on my foot, where the foot died and fell off, they did a sural artery skin flap. It was like a 10-hour surgery. And like there's a return blood vessel called the sural artery. It runs up the side of your calf muscle. And they took a chunk of skin with it and took the artery and flipped the artery around and used that chunk of skin off the back of the calf muscle to close the wound on the foot.
That's so amazing, man.
And like, it was gross. It was so gross. It looked like a gerbil.
Yeah, but how amazing is that they can do that?
Yeah, they literally just invented the surgery right then and there. It was a team of 6 plastic surgeons and like 4 orthopedic doctors in that surgery.
Wow.
To do that. And it took them an entire month and a half to figure out what they were going to do. That's why I had so many surgeries, because they were just constantly cleaning it out, dressing changes, constantly doing this, that, and that. Because like little by little, like more of my foot was like starting to die off, and that's why they were always doing surgeries.
Dude, so how do you stay positive through all this stuff? Because I mean, I met you not long from this date right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kim always talks about you being like this you've got such a great attitude in life.
Yeah.
So far through this whole story, what I've listened to, all I've heard is there is no negative in anything.
There wasn't.
When I'm looking at you in your face, like, just so everybody knows, I'm looking at you and I'm listening to you talk and you're telling this story and it's intense. Like, my heart starts beating faster. I can feel it,
Yeah. I totally understand.
Every war movie that I've ever watched is all played through my head. And then at the same time, you decide to. I'm picturing myself at 24. Even now. I mean, shoot, even now. Tell me I got to lose an arm or a leg or something. And then you've got to cut it off. And to make that decision, I would like to think I would, but I don't know. So I'm thinking about.
I gave him a chance. Like the way I came to that decision, he woke me up in the middle of one of my surgeries. It was like maybe 2 weeks over there at Brooklyn Area Medical Center. He woke me up fresh into the surgery and was like, I was high obviously off the surgery drugs, and he's like, "This thing's really bad, Sergeant Ford. Do you want me to amputate?" And I flipped him off. I totally gave him the bird. I think I gave him 2 birds. I think I did it with each hand.
That's awesome.
But I felt bad. I was like, when I came to, and later on that evening, I was like, I just flipped off my surgeon in the middle of surgery.
It's kind of funny, actually.
I'm like, I need to apologize because he's my surgeon. Like, you imagine what he could do to me? Yeah. I was like, this guy could accidentally kill me.
Yeah, you're like...
and I'm like flipping him off. Like, I felt so bad. And he was a cool sport about it. He didn't... And, like, I didn't tell him at the time, but in my mind, I was like, I want to give him a chance. I want to see what he can do with this leg. So I don't know what it's going to be like. I know what it's like now, but I don't know what it's going to be like a year from now.
Yeah.
And so I gave him a chance, and like at the end of it, I remember trying to keep track with how many stitches and staples I had, like everyone else does, and like I couldn't do it.
There's no way you can count that high. Dude.
I know it was over 250. That's all I know. I know it was somewhere over 250, and he ended up putting. The end result, I had 3 bolts running from the back of my heel. 2 went forward through some of the metatarsals and the heel bone, and then 1 went through the heel bone and into the ankle. And that's what held.
That's what's holding your leg together.
And it just basically acted like
you just got a bunch of nuts and bolts.
It was like a living prosthetic leg.
Yeah,
but it was worse because it was so deformed. For the rest of my life, I was going to have custom shoes made. And it just at 24 years old and trying to be an active and positive individual, I saw it better to have the leg gone and have a prosthetic.
So you're like overjoyed. You're almost happy. Like
I was
at
happier.
That moment. Yeah, through all those surgeries and all that stuff, you're happy to just have closure in the issue.
It was a closure. Yeah, it was a closure point.
Yeah. So I mean, this
and he does this with every amputee too. He tries to talk, like they don't really try to talk you out of it, but they want you to know what you're getting into. And so like they make you go tour the place where everyone gets their prosthetic legs from.
That's probably a good idea.
It's a really good idea. But then like he brings in an amputee. I think he does a different amputee every time to come talk to you about it. And this amputee was the funniest freaking thing in the world. This amputee comes in. He's a tall, slender guy. And he's like, so I heard you wanted to cut your leg off. And I was like, yep. And he's like, well, I can tell that one's jacked up. So he's like, is there anything wrong with your other leg? And I was like, no, there's nothing wrong with it. He's like, cut it off. You won't miss it. So 2 weeks later, it was gone. Yeah. He was like, you won't miss it.
Oh, dude. Oh, man.
He wasn't wrong.
I was waiting for something different in the story.
He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong.
He was not wrong at all.
Oh, man.
It was hilarious.
So what's it like now, like, having a prosthetic leg, like, hanging out, walking around, like, you do athletic stuff. Like, you don't look like honestly, talking to you and like being around doesn't really feel like you have one unless you like visually see it. Mm-hmm. You know? Say the truth.
I've been told by a lot of amputees that I have like one of the most natural gaits that most amputees could have. I just kind of work with the prosthetic. You know, it's like I just let a lot of amputees, they end up like a lot of amputees. I know they fight it a little bit, but at the same time, it's like I'm just going to swing with this thing.
Well, you haven't fought anything so far.
You have to. I mean, you have to let it do its job. Yeah, you can't fight it. If you fight it, you know that's when you're gonna have problems. And so, like when I first got it, before I even had a running leg, I had the same style foot. This is like 10-pound foot. I ran 10 miles in.
Dude, even when you just picked up your leg right now, just so people know, you picked up your leg with a prosthetic leg on it, and I literally almost can't tell that you're picking up your prosthetic leg.
Yeah. And like, so that's like, you know, it's an interesting experience, but like now it's become so a part of me. It's like I am like the pickiest person in the world about my legs. Like I can tell when it's like just slightly off. Like I am incredibly picky. They hate working with me because I'm like, you know, it's not good enough. You know, I just, you know, it has to be perfect fitting for me, and you know, I get really stubborn about that. It's not nothing they're doing, but I'm just so used to it. It feels more. The better it is, the more it feels one with you. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like your car. You know, if the alignment's off on it, it's not going to be fun to drive. You know, if the alignment's off on my foot, it's not going to be fun to walk in.
Well, what's crazy impressive is like your mental outlook on it. Yeah. Like what I'm hearing right now is like I really don't think you realize like what everybody else is looking at it from the outside and hearing this, you're like, okay, you've lost a leg, and you know it would be perfectly natural to have like down points in time. Oh yeah. Have you ever hit those little down points?
Oh, like, absolutely.
You know, the depression part of it, I guess.
I think I had more depression when the leg was still attached.
Really?
I think I did.
You mean like so during the injury part?
During the injury, when you're talking about
30-something days
for almost a whole year.
Oh, so
this lasted a year before they cut it off.
Wow.
After they saved it, and like it was around the 6-month mark after the injuries when they put the bolts in the foot. Yeah. And I wanted to give him a few more months just to try it out. I just had to give him a chance.
A few more months meaning a year.
Like almost to a year.
Man.
Just to try it out, because they you know, he worked hard on it, and I didn't want to disappoint him. And like it came to the point where I was just like, this leg is not serving me a purpose.
Dude, if there's anybody who has ever mentioned Team Never Quit ever in their life that is a never quit, you held on to that leg for a year, bro.
There's some people that held on to their legs for a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, I know a couple of them.
Man.
And I'm just like, I didn't have the willpower to deal with a non-functional leg.
I don't know if it's...
But maybe for them it wasn't willpower. Maybe it was just more of a fear.
And they could have different situations. I mean, you can have different situations where you feel different things. Or it could be a fear. Yeah, you could be right. A fear of losing that leg, and you're like ready to get rid of it.
I know a couple people that had like similar style injuries as me, but they weren't nearly as bad. And I don't know if that's the reason why the doctors at the time refused to cut off their leg, because their injuries weren't nearly as bad as mine. And then it didn't happen until a few years later. You know, mine, I was just in there. I was just like, I literally told them that this is affecting the quality of my life. And this is, you know what I mean? This is like the biggest depression I've ever.
Man, it's almost like, and I hate to use this analogy. Well, maybe I don't hate to use the analogy, but it's like, you know, everybody talks about you have bad seeds or people in your life you need to get rid of.
Yeah.
You know, that you're hanging around.
Yeah, it was like a toxic person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you've got it attached to you at all times.
I do that all the time. I am like, I don't like dealing with bullshit. Like,
you know, this thing's not, my leg is not positive right now. Let's go ahead and get rid of it.
I have done that. I have done that to family members. I have done that to friends, and like, and you know, I get along with some people. There's some people that, yeah, they legitimately, you know, might have down days, but they're not negative people.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And so like I still I'm friends with them, but there's like people that are like
every day,
every day, single day. There's some type of negative criticism aspect that either they're and
dude, how okay, so you of all people, you've got one leg.
Yeah.
And you're around somebody who has a negative outlook all the time. Like I see you, like that makes sense to me. You can't put up with that.
I can't. I can handle certain types of people. I understand people that are having down days or like down times.
Yeah, because that happens. That happens to everybody.
But then like I cannot stand like when there's like intentional.
Oh man, what a great way to put that, dude.
Intentional drama or negativity. Like
intentional negativity, man. That's a great way to put that.
Like if it's like coming out on like a regular basis and it's like maybe it's a part of the personality, and I've had my days where I like something might get stuck in my head and I might be down. You know what I mean? But whoever that person it's involved with, depending on how severe it is, I'll work it out with them, and like I'll generally get over it. But like there's been a couple of people like throughout the lifetime. I mean, one recently happened this summer. That's one reason why I'm happy I'm with you guys, because I experienced something, that almost something similar that your wife experienced.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like a year ago. Like,
wow, man.
And that was probably like, I've had a lot of things happen to me. Like my left arm has been almost amputated off.
Oh my gosh,
like
dude!
This is like, I mean, like you.
Do we have 3 podcasts that I can do? Because this is amazing.
yeah. It's been wild, and like this is like after this year, like I've now viewed this leg thing as like mediocre compared to like what happened this past year.
Compared to that?
Yeah, what happened this past year, yeah. But it's like,
so
you don't realize
a human being can do something to you that makes your losing your leg mediocre. Think about that. Yeah. Like negativity from a human or an evil act from someone close to you, like emotionally close, can make losing a leg mediocre. That's pretty impactful, dude.
Like, well,
that's that carries some.
So mine was more.
I get it because I've had similar things happen to me.
Yeah, there's been a few people that like. Well, I think so. Like, what happened this past year is I had a spinal cord injury that they determined to be related to the explosion in Afghanistan. 10 years later,
yeah,
it affected me, and so that part actually hit me worse than the leg did.
Really?
That did. Yeah.
Man,
it was. Yeah, and so like,
well, spine. I mean, I guess because as crucial as a leg is, a spine you can't find relief from.
Yeah, you can't. It's like it's a slow.
I don't know if you know this. Kim's had a broken back.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I learned about her.
Yeah,
and what happened in mine, it was nice to see. Like when I first came back to CrossFit, I saw her doing it. Because then, like, knowing her, she can do it, I was like, all right, if she can do it, I can do it. Mine was, I didn't have a broken, I mean, I had one fracture in my back that they found that I didn't know I had. We don't even know how long it's been there.
Dude, I bet you have lots of stuff you have no idea.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, I guess, like, the one thing that I know now, going through all this, is you don't know the kind of shit that you can pull yourself out of until you've been through it. And then you look back onto it and you're like, I am a strong motherfucker. Like this is, I cannot believe that I just got through this. I cannot believe it at all.
And then doesn't it make like the things that other things seem like, oh man, why was I sweating that? I can handle all this all day long.
All this. Yeah, this is nothing. Like, like and then it also kind of puts you in that perspective like I can remain positive and have a smile in these shitty ass circumstances, like why put up with that intentional like negativity too? It's like why even do it? Like why even bother?
So you really like legitimately you have no time for it.
I have no. I'll give people the opportunity.
Yeah.
But like if I like, you know, and I'm a nice person, sometimes I give people a lot of chances. And
that's not a bad thing, man.
Sometimes
that's
I probably
not a bad thing
give myself.
I mean, people go through down. You can catch them at certain points in their life, you know. And all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I believe in second chances all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, second, third, fourth, fifth chances. I mean, people are never out of the game.
Yeah.
You're never out of the game. The only thing keeping you out of the game is you.
And like, it's not like, and like, maybe it's not with everyone. It's not like chances. You know, it's like sometimes it's like it could be out of their control.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why they're having a downtime.
Totally, man.
And like at that point in time, it's like sometimes it's hard for me because I have this huge wall up against negativity. I have to remind myself a lot that this is not in that person's control. And like knowing that I have been a strong person through my life, I got to be a stronger person for them.
Man, I like that.
And so like
at the same time, I mean, you understand it on a different level because honestly and truly, your leg injury was not in your control.
It was not. You know, really.
And I mean, you like to take ownership of everything that you have, like everything that happens. Like maybe if you hadn't been asleep, or maybe this, or maybe that, right? You can say that's all hindsight 2020. Really, it's out of your, that's out of your control. So you have a different perspective on that situation, and you understand it a little better than maybe other people do.
There's a lot of things that you can tell when it's out of someone's control. Like I'm learning that right now. You know, that's, you know, learning things through your lifetime is never going to be it's going to be a never-ending process. You're always going to have something that's going to bring you down. Some things are going to bring you down more than others. And most of the time, you know, sometimes these things they're out of your control, but it's also like what you make out of them too. Like you can have a bad day, but still put a smile on your face.
Yeah. You know what? The important thing that I think about that is that if you surround yourself with the right people,
some people
when those times hit, this is the most crucial thing about doing that almost as a proactive thing is like you surround yourself with those kind like people like yourself.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and anybody, just anybody who is a good, honest friend to you that is positive.
Yeah.
I mean, when those times hit, they're going to be there for you to not let you go too deep down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. And that's like something I'm kind of learning right now is like, I've never, I mean, I've done that for a couple of people, but I've never like known the power that I have, you know, for some people.
Isn't it crazy?
And it's like
think about how crazy it is that and we were talking about this before, the impact of you not having a leg.
Yeah.
Like the impact of you losing your leg is more positive on other people. Like it spreads through and inspires and everything else.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
I've known it's contagious. I think the funnest people to work with are the funnest interactions I get about my leg are with kids.
I bet, dude. I would have been one of those knuckleheads, dude, that's not thinking about like anything about feelings. Like, what is that?
Yeah. Oh, I play along with it.
Is that guy walking on a pole?
Oh, I play along.
What's he doing?
I totally play along with it. Like, I've told kids that I'm a transformer.
I believe you. I would believe you. I would have been that kid that believed you, dude.
Recently, like one of my friends, his daughter said,
dude, I'd have been telling stories right now.
Yeah. Oh,
at 39, I'd be on this podcast going, dude, I met a transformer.
Yeah. Sometimes people ask, like, I totally have fun with my injuries. And, like, you know, even though they're really crummy, but it's like I like having fun with them because it kind of takes a load off of me being so serious about them. I can put a smile on my face about it. So like one thing like I like to tell people is like when they ask how I lost it, automatically people usually assume, at my age, he lost his leg in one of the wars, but you could have lost it to bone cancer, a car accident.
There's guys that lose it to viral infections.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. And so I totally have fun with it now. And like I just like throwing people off just to start a conversation with them. I'll just be like, funny. Dude, it was the craziest thing. I lost it from a shark attack in Afghanistan.
I saw that on one of your posts.
It's like
I legitimately went, shark attack in Afghanistan?
I've had people believe it. People actually, there's sharks in Afghanistan. I'm like, dude, they're the biggest things you've ever seen in your life.
I'm like, this is some sort of, what is he talking about, dude? Yeah. This is funny.
Yeah, some people believe it. Like, it's crazy. Like, if you sit there and like pull it off of it, and, like have a serious, dude, you gotta like use your body language. Be like, dude, there was the biggest freaking shark I'd ever seen in my life, and people will believe it.
Were you like waiting on your downtime in the ocean?
Yeah, like it just swam up the river from the ocean.
Yeah, like, I was just out there taking a bath, and all of a sudden, knock.
Yeah. What's another story that I'll tell every now and then is I was like, oh yeah, we were on a foot patrol, and this jaguar came out of nowhere and attacked me.
Wow.
Yeah, no one believes that one.
No. That's more believable than the shark.
I think I get more into the shark attack one because I know it's not true.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is great. Oh man. Dude, this has been one of my most fun podcasts I've ever had, dude. I can honestly say. And it's not the whiskey either.
It's not. Yeah,
it's awesome, man. It is awesome. Dude, well, where can everybody, like, find you as far as, like, do you want people following social media? Do you do any sort of, like, charity work? Where would you send people to go that want to support things, like, that happen to you that can help people, like, should they go to the hospitals and visit the people who have lost their legs?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? What can you do to help other people that might be in your situation or have gone through that?
What can you do to help?
I mean, this is a question I don't ever hear asked, and that's why it hit my head. Like, you don't ever hear it asked to somebody who it happened to.
Yeah.
What's the best thing that other people outside, like, from the outside looking in, can help?
Just be a friend. Like, if you know them in person, just be a friend. That's all you can do. Is
just be there.
Just be a friend. Check up on them. If you're not in contact with them often, check up on them often.
Like just text message, calls, go visit them.
Ask them to come over for dinner, like something like that. Make friends with them. One of my buddies, Chad Fleming, I went through physical therapy with him from 75th Ranger Battalion. He was a captain. Between him and Marcus Luttrell, they both run a nonprofit called the Boot Campaign.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. As much as I drive around, dude, I see that on back of trucks all the time.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite organizations right now.
What do they do? What is exactly that they do? Because I see the poster, and I've never looked it up, but I see it all the time. Yeah,
so I'm not 100% clear on where I know they do, like, programs. Mm-hmm. But I think the funds come from selling the boots, the shoes,
and it helps people.
It helps the veterans.
Gotcha.
It helps helps them with like programs for them and their families and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But I don't know enough.
Yeah. That's what I get that, but I didn't know any further than it's just boot. It was just a boot campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, I see Marcus Luttrell on the back of the Academy trucks driving down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, I've read that guy's book.
Yeah. So that's probably like my favorite organization, but there's a lot. All of us. So I was hooking up with everyone on social media. It's like,
I mean, does that help? Like people social media commenting on stuff?
So
like,
I started...
outside people, does that affect you at all?
I started recently, like... Mine kind of started exploding a little bit over the past, 6 months. Mm-hmm. It was mainly from the spine injury that I recently experienced, too. That's the reason why it kind of blew up. A couple of years ago, I met a really popular social media person. His name's Andy Beto. He's a ex-Navy SEAL. He runs a blade shop called Half Phase Blades.
Is this a knife thing?
A knife thing.
Oh my gosh, I have to follow it. I'm going to get it from you.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember this, but I need to get it from you because I love, the handcraft knives are awesome, man.
Yeah.
So cool.
I spent, a week or so with him and, was being taught how to make knives from him. And now,
that's awesome.
Really good friends with him. And then when I had the spinal cord injury, I didn't know what I was doing. And I turned to him. I was just like, dude, I need help. And he hooks me up with Carry the Load. And so the spinal cord injury, I got flown up to Dallas by Veterans Airlift Command on a private jet for a spinal cord injury and had surgery at Texas Back Institute. I think I was their first veteran they treated. It's such a high-end facility. They usually treat,
Yeah.
You're talking national sport league, famous football players, basketball, Tiger Woods.
People who make millions of dollars, not people who go fight for the country.
Yeah, people who make millions and not people who make nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think they were experimenting with me with as a gateway to treat more veterans and active duty members, which is really good for them.
That's really awesome, man.
Really good for everyone else.
Kudos to them.
Yeah.
Big time. There needs to be more people out there like that.
Yeah. There does. But yeah, and I think throughout this recent spinal cord injury, I've gotten to know a lot of people, and I've seen that there's a lot of people out there with really big hearts that care about us, and
care about all veterans, man.
Not just veterans too. There's an organization that does both with veterans and civilians.
Yeah.
Called Trinity Oaks, and they
I've heard that. What?
Yeah, so they take terminal ill patients or special needs kids.
Yeah.
Out on hunting trips
along
with not only along with but not by themselves but along with injured veterans. And it's a magical moment. It's a really cool.
I was almost about to say I can't love it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't love it any more than what you just said, dude.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's a really cool organization. So
very cool, man. Yeah. All right, well, go support all of that stuff. Follow him. What's your Instagram name?
Because
it's funny, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I even told you, I laughed so hard at your bottle thing, dude. One, you hit the bottles with your prosthetic leg, first off. And then you did the hand job one where you just unscrewed the bottle, and it's so simple, but it's so funny.
I couldn't help it,
dude. It made me laugh so hard. I even told Kim, I was like, dude, I laughed. I watched it over. I watched it probably 6 or 7 times and just laughed every time. And then I told my daughter, who's up in Fort Worth right now visiting her grandma, I said, you need to watch this video because it's funny.
Dude, I don't take anything seriously on social media. And so, when I did that, I saw that bottle cap challenge. I saw one of my amputee friends use his prosthetic leg and hit the bottle cap. Actually, knocked the bottle cap off of his prosthetic. I was like, man, now I gotta do something different. And then I saw someone else just kick it and miss, and I was like, okay, I have 2 ideas. I'm just gonna hit swing my leg out like a baseball bat and just hit it across the room, and then cuss at it.
Yeah.
and then I was driving to work early, and I was like, dude. I was like, what is the deal with this bottle cap challenge when you could just take it off with your hand? I was like, but what am I gonna call it? I'm just gonna call it a hand job.
Oh my gosh, dude. I was still laughing. So I'm cheering up right now, dude. I don't know if it's stupid that I'm laughing at this or that it's just genius. Because it's pretty funny.
There's so many things you could Just so many dumb stuff you can do with a leg or
just anything. No, it's funny that you just. I mean, regardless of the leg, dude, the hand thing. Dude, why didn't I think of that? Genius, that's the greatest dude. Yeah. For real.
Like.
So, what is it? Pop Smoke Jimmy?
Oh yeah, it's Pop Smoke Jimmy. Yeah, that's the social media.
Pop Smoke Jimmy is your Instagram handle. Go follow him there.
I used to go by. Here's a funny one. I used to go by Sticky Stumpy.
Sticky Stumpy's awesome, man. But Pop Smoke Jimmy's pretty cool.
I like Pops. Right now, I like Pop Smoke Jimmy.
Right now, I'll change it later.
I change it. I get funny ideas, and then I'll change it.
Okay, so follow him under that, and if he changes it, you'll get to see what he changes at. Man.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for doing this, dude.
No
this was a blast.
It was a blast.
I love it, man.